Welcome to the Julie Laughton Living Podcast, the place to get advice, tips, and tricks to building the life and luxury home of your dreams with 30-year business owner, designer, and builder, Julie Laughton. It all starts with a good plan. This is Julie Laughton Living.
Welcome back to another episode of the Julie Laughton Podcast, and today we're going to talk about how does the process work at the city? What does it take to get your plans approved? What are you going to go through? What are the different cities like and all that good stuff? But before we start, don't forget to check my 7 simple steps out on my website, share it with your friends, print it. But anyway, my 7 simple step, I think I'm the only one that outlines it from conception to completion, so you have a complete overview. I mean, it talks about who do you hire first, how does it end, and what do you do after your home's built, which is, of course, lifetime maintenance. But it's a whole overview of what to expect. And it's very educational and gives you a heads up what you're getting into. So many homeowners don't realize what the process at the city is. And I actually sometimes, if homeowners want to kind of learn more and have the time, I don't recommend this because you don't know how to answer. Well, I won't get into it. I don't believe in owner builder and homeowners trying to do our job. But I do believe in educating the homeowner on every single aspect and every second of what I'm doing so they understand why and understand what we're going through, because we have to deal with a government agency, which is the city. And the codes and regulations are not only city, it's state, and it's federal. It's a huge thing. So anyway, but I do sometimes encourage some homeowners, if they want to know fast, just go to the city and ask questions, because that's what we do. That's the first thing. So when I have a new project, I go to the counter and say, hey, what's going to happen on this property? What are my restrictions? What happened in the past? Anybody got any leftover permits? Can I build this? What are my setbacks? What's the Coastal Commission going to do to me? So you got to know what you're doing day one, even before you buy the property. You want to know what's up with this property. So the point is, the city process is about submitting plans that match and fit the codes, so you don't have to have a million corrections. And my advice is, don't hire an out-of-town architect. Hire someone that knows your city, and hire someone that's like me. I've been at the counter every day for like 30 years. I mean, there's nothing I don't know about what needs to be done at the city. But you hire someone from out of town. They don't know your city. They don't know the codes. Laguna's tough. Newport's okay, and great compared to Laguna, because Laguna has view preservance and a design review hearing. Now, I'm not saying that's bad. I'm just saying it adds to the process. Okay, and it makes it better for everyone's quality of life when they have that design review and view preservance. So it's all a good thing, but it's a longer process. And so the thing is, to know what to expect is to have your designer tell you. And if your designer knows your city, they should tell you off the top of their head. But going to the counter and getting the information day one is the safest way to know what to expect for your project and your property specifically. So the process at the city, I always tell people, you got 3 months of planning, you got 3 months of building department. And if you have a coastal commission in there or a design review hearing in there, add another 2 months. So now you're up to almost 9 months, because you got to put corrections in there, because the city likes you to note things on the plans that really potentially don't have anything to do with the design, but it's just notes, like codes and regulations and updates and stuff. So there's always corrections. And so that's a 9-month maximum process. And if you're building a custom home ground up, that could be 12 to 15, because it's longer if you have a more difficult or challenging project, because you have a longer planning and zoning process. And then, of course, if you add design review in Laguna, that could be a year itself, depending on the battle. So, and then Coastal Commission adds a long time too, if you're on the water, because if you're 300 feet from the water, you got different restrictions than if you're up on the hill. So anyway, it's a whole process, but I type it out for my clients, what's going to happen from day one to the end of the job, so they can see an outline and they can see the timing, and they know what I'm doing every day, basically, or every part of the process. And then they know the cost associated with every part of the process. And we do this day one. So there's no mystery to what they're going to go through and what they're going to pay. No surprises. And that's the only way you can function with clients, because I don't know about you, but I'm not going to jump into something unless I know how it works and what to expect. So I like to prepare my clients in advance. So the city process, again, you go down and talk to them. You don't just guess. You go down and talk to them, and we have to do it too. And then they tell you. So it's fun. That's how we project. So during COVID, it was kind of fun because we didn't have to go stand around at the counter. Everything was done via email. It was kind of nice. So that's when I stopped going to the counter and standing around for 3 hours. And I have my draftsman do it because it's valuable time. But I'm still talking to the planners because the open communication with email and phone calls is so much quicker and better and faster. Because COVID really enhanced some things besides the drag it was to be stuck at home, but it enhanced things because the communication speeded up and the Zooms. I mean, it was quicker to get things done, in my opinion. So that's only improved the communication moving forward because some people, I don't think they're ever going back to work and they're never going in person. So, because they know it's quicker, like we're doing a Zoom. So I think COVID improved things, but we are back in person and the process is the same, but the ability to communicate is really great through Zoom and phone calls. It enhanced it. So that's what I liked about COVID. And when there's so many things that can hold your plans up for being approved. And guess what those are? Not planning ahead, not knowing the city, not knowing the rules, not asking questions. If you submit your plans right and complete and ask questions before you draw it, you'll save yourself months. Because if you're just winging it and you're fighting what you can't do and just think they're going to approve it, they're not. You got to know what they are. The city's going to approve before you submit your plans. And you got to know all the codes and regulations and there's a million things. Oh my God, trust me. And it's all standard, but if you're not experienced and you hire the wrong person or you try to, God forbid, do your plans yourself, you're in for a long haul with the city process. So you got to know what you're doing because you have to have experience with the city. Well, as you know, I'm against owner builder. If you look up on the CSLB website or just Google it, owner builder beware, because, it's like me doing my own brain surgery. What do I know? Or me being my own, anesthesiologist before I have a surgery. How are you going to do that? The point is you can't do something that you're not skilled at, educated at, or trained at. You shouldn't wing it. Just because you own the home doesn't mean you're an architect, an interior designer, an engineer, or a contractor. And trust me, it's all about experience and hiring the right people to guide you through the process because it is your home and you want it done right, on time, on budget, with no hiccups and no idiots. But doing owner builder is going to trip you up because you're not experienced to do what we do because that's not your job. Your job is to whatever you have as a career. And then your job is to maintain your home and build your home and blah, 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 blah. So I am against the owner builder micromanaging because the people that try that are just in it to save a buck. But what happens is it costs a fortune because of the mistakes made in the beginning. So you never win. So it's just like the home flipper. You do it cheap, you cut corners, it costs a fortune in the end. And nobody benefits because a house looks like shit and it's cheap and it falls apart. Because you can't do cheap. I have this thing. You can do good, you can do fast, but you can't do cheap. It doesn't fit into the mix. Now, if you want to do cheap, there's consequences. So I have a little video I posted the other day about those consequences. But the point is, you got to have experience and knowledge, and you shouldn't be the one guessing. So that's what it's all about, having an experienced team around you, and don't wing it. But I do encourage people to research and go to the counter and ask questions if you maybe don't trust the people you're working with, but then you're in trouble if that's happening the first month. So all cities, just people always ask. And Laguna is longer because we have DRB, design review hearing, which is all about the view preservance and respecting your neighbors and their quality of life. And then, but all cities have the same process. You got zoning and planning, and then you got the building department. So it's really 3 departments, but zoning's kind of thrown in with planning. So you got planning department, you got building department, you got corrections at the tail end of each point one, and then the fire department and the public works get involved. So it's a lovely process. It's the same in every city. And it just depends on how organized your city is. And because I worked with a city last year, was it 2 years ago? And they had a bunch of changes in their staff and they lost our plans 4 times. It was maddening. I won't name the city, but it was in the Inland Empire. And we kind of laughed about it, but it was maddening because it slowed us up a 3 months and it wasn't our fault. But that doesn't normally happen, but it could. But otherwise, the process is relatively the same for all cities. So the big thing about the city is it's a process. And, you can expect 6 to 9 months at a minimum. If the project's tricky, it could take a year. So always know what to expect in advance and have your architect, your designer tell you. And make sure someone actually talks to the city, because you don't know until you know. Don't forget to check out my 7 simple steps, share it with your friends, and thank you for joining me, and I'll see you again next week.
Thank you for joining us for this episode of Julie Laughton Living. For more information or to connect with Julie one-on-one, visit julielaughtonliving.com. And don't forget, it all starts with a good plan.